All right, so it's 4:30. We can get going, I guess. Don't know if anybody else is coming in or not.
Drop by.
I'm going to start by obviously welcoming Rachel. Rachel's with the SBA to kind of talk about what different things are available as far as the Paycheck Protection Program, things like that for businesses right now. So, Rachel, if you want to have at it.
All right.
All you.
So thank you for having me. I saw Warren Haggerty's face a few minutes ago on here. So Warren Haggerty with our office does the economic development outreach for your area. So I wanted you all to meet Warren as well if you hadn't met him. But so right now we're not doing our usual course of business in SBA because we have been very busy with all of this economic recovery relief programs that is available for small businesses right now. About a month or so ago now, I guess it's been, the governor of New Hampshire requested SBA to declare the state of New Hampshire a disaster, which was from there, the entire country did the same thing. So the entire country right now has been declared a disaster because of the coronavirus. But what that did is open up SBA's ability at that time to accept economic injury disaster loan program applications from businesses. So we began doing that a little while ago. It went through some issues in the beginning because this is the first time the whole country has been declared a disaster. So the systems that we had in place at that time got overwhelmed pretty easily. So about March 30th, I think, we finally got a system that worked pretty well about accepting applications into that program. And that was also right after the CARES Act, which basically opened up the option of people applying for the advanced option of the economic injury disaster loan program. So that was a grant up to $10,000. That piece of the product does not have to be paid back. And then the rest of it would be offered to businesses at a low interest rate loan, a direct loan from the government, which is basically meant to provide working capital, emergency working capital assistance for businesses to be able to pay those monthly obligations that they have until normal business resumes again. So the agency went through that process for a few weeks. Right now they have the portal to apply for those loans is temporarily shut down because they got so many applications. They're just working through the existing applications that they have at this point. Also with the CARES Act came the Paycheck Protection Program. So most people have probably heard of this by now. It's been all over the news. This program basically it's not a direct loan. It's a loan that people have to apply to through lenders. So you have to go through one of our participating lenders for that program. And basically what it is an incentive for employers to bring their payrolls back to for most people, they're looking at 2019 levels and provide the business owner with 8 weeks of payroll and related expenses. And then it allows for some of the proceeds to be used for other things like mortgage interest, rent, and utility payments. If the business uses it as agreed, they can apply for forgiveness at the end of the 8 weeks through the lender and provide the documentation that it was used for payroll and those other related expenses. The loan could potentially be forgiven 100%. So that program we had open for 2 weeks, April 3rd through the 17th. We did 11,500 or so loans across the state of New Hampshire for $2 billion, which, to put that in perspective, is about 15 years of loan volume that we typically see in our office. So we usually do about 600 loans a year. So it was a tremendous amount of loans to be processed in a short period of time. They now have opened, as of yesterday at 10:30, the second round of funding because that funding got exhausted. They now have it open for lenders to submit some of those loans again as well. So we're in the process of our lenders trying to get applications in and businesses trying to get their applications to the lenders and all of that to go through this round two. The other thing that SBA is offering is for people that have existing loans with us, either through our regular guarantee loan program, which is called our 7A program, or our 504 program, which is mostly real estate transactions that go through that have a guarantee by SBA, or even our microloans. All of those businesses are offered debt relief. So SBA is paying the principal and interest payments for 6 months on the business's behalf to our lenders. So those loans would be forgiven. They're also offering that for any new loans that happen between now and September 27th, I think is the cutoff, where the first 6 months of all principal and interest payments would be forgiven by the SBA and paid to the lenders on behalf of the business owners. So that in a nutshell is what we have going on. And I don't know if you want to open it up to questions, or I can wait to answer any questions later, or how you want to handle it.
We can. I want to take a second too to introduce Will. Just came in as well. Will is with the State of New Hampshire Department of Economic Development. So I wanted to just welcome him as well. Thanks for coming, Will. And so I don't know if you have anything you want to add first, Will, from the state side before we start taking questions. Obviously, Rachel just handled the SBA side.
Rachel has all the answers. That's all I have to say. Throw her under the bus.
I don't know about that. I wish I had all the answers.
Well, I'll say that at the state level, we're working very closely with SBA, obviously, and so very closely with Rachel and her staff, and we're very appreciative of all the work that she is doing. It's been difficult, as we all know. On the state side, obviously, we have a series of partners that we work very closely with, whether it's the Small Business Development Center, who has a series of regional advisors that work very closely with the small businesses, and SBA is a strong partner with them as well. With the Manufacturing Extension Program, which works directly with manufacturers to help solve some of their issues, and with the Community Development Finance Authority, and then with the Business Finance Authority. Those are all programs that we work fairly closely with. But the big guys on the block are the SBA programs, and we've been working very closely with Rachel over the last few weeks to try to get some of that information out to businesses. So I mean, I don't know what else to say. Maybe I'll take some questions along with Rachel, but the other thing is on our end is that we're very involved with the whole essential, non-essential decisions for businesses. So we've been doing that all along from the very beginning of this whole crisis, and you know, businesses, we're still taking inquiries and questions from businesses as to whether they are essential, non-essential, or if they're non-essential, can they be considered essential? So that's a struggle, especially as we continue to extend this timeline out a few more weeks. That it's very hard for small businesses, and so that's pretty much the work that we're involved in right now. Of course, we have this reopening task force, and we have the GOFER, which is the Governor's Office for Governor's Office for Economic Revitalization. GOFER. Anyways, so
so many acronyms, right?
no acronyms that we have to memorize, and they are working out of our office, and they're the folks that are going to be distributing this $1.25 billion coming down from the federal government. So they're trying to gear up for that. Joe, that's pretty much what I have to say.
No, I appreciate that, Will. I mean, I think I've got a pretty diverse group of people here. If anybody has questions, this is the opportunity. Mark?
Yeah, I have two questions. If you have applied for an EDIL, how is the money going in terms of coming out? I know it's been an onslaught to get the applications in. So I got some number when White Birch applied. Is there a place to go check to see what the status is, or do you have any other information? That's my first question.
Yep. So just to give people an idea, the other day we got some numbers in on where New Hampshire stands for both the advance piece and the loan part. So about almost 6,000 businesses in New Hampshire have received the advance portion now of the EIDL, which is that up to $10,000 piece that you get that does not have to be paid back. On the loan side, I think we were a little over 200 loans so far for 45 million that have been finalized with the disaster center. Really, is not where we would like to be, but they're just dealing with millions of applications and they're trying to get to them as soon as possible. So they were working really hard to try to get those advances out to people at least. When you applied, did you do that new online portal where you got an application number with the number 3? Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that means you're in queue. You should, if you have not received the advance portion, you should be getting that very soon. I think we've been hearing every day of people getting that part of it at least. Have you received that yet, or?
No, not that I'm aware of, and you know, we did. I'm not overly worried about it. I was just wondering, you know, I realized with so many applications going in that there's going to be delays with the money coming out, I'm assuming, so.
Yeah. You know, the advance portion will just show up, so people just see it in their bank account. So just keep an eye out for that. I don't know how many employees you have, but they were doling it out basically $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. So there'd be that portion, and then the remainder would be in the loan that they offer, which is that you know, that's a direct loan through the Treasury at the low interest rate of 3.75, and can be up to 30-year term on that with no payments for 12 months. So that's the piece that people are really looking for the long-term solution. I mean, the PPP loan provides that short boost of money, but for the long-term economic recovery, I think people are counting on the EIDL, and they didn't open it up even with the new funding that just passed because they want to get through some of the applications that are already in process before they open it up to new applications. So that's kind of where they're at right now on that. Okay.
The second question I had is I'm wondering, my wife and I have an apartment building in Concord. 2 of our renters, because we rent to college students who are law school students, they've notified us they're leaving at the end of their lease, which is in May. Do we, as owners of this building, qualify for that type of assistance, or is that not a qualifying circumstance?
Landlords are eligible for the economic injury loan product, but not for the payroll, the Paycheck protection one. So if that opens up again, you'd be able to apply under the economic injury program.
Okay.
And basically what that loan does is that provides you with that monthly debt obligation over, I think they were using 6 months of working capital, emergency working capital. So it'd be 6 months of payments on whatever monthly payments you have.
Like mortgage, heat, oil, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Scott, you have a question?
And Warren, I just wanted to tell Warren, feel free to chime in if you have anything if there's anything I'm missing here.
Joe, I was just wondering if I could ask Rachel, how long do they expect this round of money to last? The first round of money seemed as though it was exhausted very quickly, and a lot of businesses have opted to give it back, some of the larger ones. So does that money go back into the loan program to be loaned out again to other people?
Very good question. I believe that money would probably be rolled back in. Anyone that's not using it and canceling a loan that they already got approved in the first round. The money is expected to go very, very quickly. The first time it went in 14 days, and that was with people that weren't even getting, the lenders were just in the process of getting signed up and getting geared up. Now they came prepared this time around, and they already had like an onslaught of applications that they had pending from last time. So we didn't have that ramp up period that we did the first time around. So I wouldn't be surprised if by Friday, potentially the money could be exhausted. So we're telling anybody, like, if you have not applied for one of these loans and this would benefit your business, you need to act immediately to contact your lender. If you don't have an existing relationship with the lender, the SBA has gave temporary status to some of the financial tech companies like PayPal and Cabbage and places like that to just accept these loans. So, if you don't have an existing lending relationship with somebody, to get an application in quickly, we're telling people you may want to opt for one of those online lenders.
You're referring to the PPP program when she's referring to that specifically.
Yes.
Correct. They'll process the loans in the order that they come in.
Yes, basically what happens is SBA opens the portal and the lenders are all having delegated authority, which means they get in there and they put in the applications electronically, and as soon as they get a loan number, that money is funded. So if people even have multiple applications out there, the first person that gets your application in gets the loan approval, and the next person that puts it in wouldn't go through. So we had people that said they had applications in the first round and they never heard back from their lender. So we're telling them, you can put in another application if you haven't had any communication with your lender and you're not sure they're going to get it in for you. Try one of those other lenders, but basically the first one that gets it in, the first one that gets to the finish line gets the loan, and the next one would be blocked out of being able to fund it when they get there. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had it, as Rachel was saying, they've had a tremendous number of loans that have already been processed in basically a 24-hour period or slightly more than that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're really going.
They're going.
I was going to say they're going through the funds really quickly.
Mm.
So guys, did they finally fix the technical problems that?
They are having, I think it was technical problems by design. What they were trying to do is to pace the process of larger banks kind of getting the advantage and getting in there and getting a whole bunch of loans put in before the smaller ones. So they were trying to electronically, I don't know how they do it, but they were trying to pace the process. And I think in trying to do that they created more problems than help, because we had a lot of frustrated lenders yesterday. A little less frustration today, but still frustration. They're trying to get a balance of slowing down the pace at which people can get the funding, and also have it not be a miserable experience for people getting the loans inputted. So that's a work in progress, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions from everybody? No?
If I was just going to say, if you do have any questions, you're welcome to either call in our office, which is 603-225-1400, or you can send an email to New Hampshire and spelled out all together _DO as in district office @sba.gov, and we'll answer those questions for you.
Yeah. The other thing people can do too is we're getting information as quickly as we can through our email updates. So if you go on to our website, which is sba.gov/nh, at the bottom right, you can sign up for email updates. And that's probably the most efficient way to stay up to date, especially the PPP program. They basically created this program within 5 days of implementing it. So that created kind of like a continuing a continuing guidance coming out. And so all the guidance didn't come out at once, so they're continually updating guidance as they go. And there's a lot of updates to that program. Almost every other day we have new information on stuff. So that's how we're trying to get the information out to people as quick as possible. I know a lot of people have questions on the forgiveness part of it now, of what documentation is going to be required. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions on that. That we don't have answers to. So we're hoping that guidance is going to come out very soon, and we'll be sharing that through our email blasts as well. We also do daily webinars every morning at 9, which we're giving people updated information and answering questions that way as well.
So any other questions, Chris?
Yeah, we've got a vast majority of our employees are still on payroll, so we're good in that regard. But we do a large event business in the summertime, spring, summer, fall, with weddings. So we've got 6 to 8 employees that we can't really put to work, for lack of a better word. They're pretty one-dimensional employees. We can't really have them do other stuff. What guidance can you give us for trying to get some of those folks back on when in reality we're not allowed or permitted to host an event for the PPP guidance?
Mm-hmm. So the PPP is really, even if people are not able to work their normal job, you're still given that incentive of the PPP to get them back on the payroll. And it's meant, you can even pay them to be home or try to find some other things for them to do. But they can still be a piece of that loan product. And the whole idea is that it's to make sure that those people are ready and available when you do need them. So even if you would still be eligible to apply for the PPP if you've had, all you have to do is certify that you've had some kind of economic impact because of this virus. And I can't find a business that I've talked to lately that hasn't had some kind of economic impact because of this. So you might want to consider putting in an application sooner than later for that. And basically what you would do is you would come up with your average payroll based on 2019. You would get your average payroll costs and compensation for 2019. And then your loan would be based on 8 weeks of that, plus that extra 25% that can be used for other things like rent and utilities and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Jerry, do
There
you
you
have a
go.
question? Yeah.
There you go, Joe. That works better. I was just going to comment on Chris. I believe I read that he'd be eligible for the PPE anyway because of having to close early and his losses from the weeks that they had to close early.
Yes, he would definitely be eligible, and he should look into it. Do you have I don't know if you have an existing lender, but if you have an existing lender, you should definitely reach out to them sooner than later.
Any other questions from the audience?
Not from me, because I can't apply for any of this. First,
Are you a business owner?
I am. But I was a DBA until March 10th, and I went into I incorporated. So by being a new business, they have no record of me, and a sole proprietor DBA puts me in another whole different category, and it doesn't matter. I'm still an essential employee, so I'm working anyway, and I probably wouldn't go for it, but it's because I'm working my tail off, actually.
Yeah. I was going to say the sole proprietors are limited. It would be based on your 2019 Schedule C. Yep. And basically you would get a portion of, you would get 8 weeks worth of your net income would be your.
Right. I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not too worried about it yet.
Yeah.
Do you expect a third round? I know there's no way of forecasting the future in any of this.
Yeah.
But the way they pounded out the first two, do you think there would be a third round of this?
I'm not sure. I mean, one of the things that I have no idea what they're going to do, but
Right,
one of the
exactly.
things I
But
know
I'm just off the
right.
top of your head. I didn't know
Yeah.
if you had a sense of
yeah.
anything.
I know there's concern from a lot of business owners about the 8 weeks not being long enough. So
I saw that.
I didn't know. I mean, that might be something that Congress I know has heard and may be thinking about is if not opening up new applications is maybe extending the time period and offering additional funding or something.
Yeah, I
But
saw 10 to 12 was the next, who was it? Copper Door. I
yeah.
think the guy from Copper Door was saying that 10 to 12 weeks would be more pertinent to what he was doing than the 8 weeks
Yeah,
was.
I know a lot of restaurants really lobbied hard to try to get the 8 weeks to be more flexible because right now the 8 weeks, the clock starts when the loan gets dispersed. So they wanted it to be flexible where they could let people stay on unemployment until they open and then use the 8 weeks after that. And that did not happen. That wasn't part of the new legislation. I don't know if they just didn't have enough time to try to change anything. They mostly were just replenishing the funds in this second piece. So.
Right. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Anybody have anything else? No? Well, Rachel, Warren, Will, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
I know we're a small town, but we just are trying to watch out for everybody here and appreciate you taking the time to come in here. So.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We will be happy to do it again, maybe when we get more information about the forgiveness piece. If you have businesses in the area that have gotten the loan and need more guidance on that, we'd be happy to hop on a call again and do something like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Joe, I'll get on to that eventually. I'll get down to the gazebo.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I get
All
that
right.
email like every week right now from Ruth asking when it's going to get done. And I'm like,
So she just passed the buck on to you. That's perfect.
yeah, pretty much. So,
Yeah. If the builder knew where the struts were, I'd get back on it. Oh, he just left. I was
he
going to
just
pick on
left,
it.
yeah. Of course, he bolted when he started knew we were talking about it,
Yeah, exactly. Take care, Joe.
Jared.
Thank you.
Take care. All right.